Here's everything you need to know about materials in Blender under 6 minutes. To learn effectively, I break these into concepts, tools, and applications. Concepts are the real-world physics, tools are how you simulate them in Blender, applications put it together into actual materials. Usually I start with tools, but materials don't make sense without concepts first. So let's flip the order. Every material is a description of what light does when it hits a surface. It can only do 4 things: reflect, transmit, scatter, or absorb. Every material you've ever seen is a recipe of these 4 plus one exception: reflection, light bouncing off, controlled by 2 things: roughness, the microscopic bumpiness where smooth is a mirror and rough is matte, and IOR, index of refraction, a number unique to every material that decides how much light bounces versus passes through based on your viewing angle. Transmission, light passing through. IOR controls how much gets through and how it bends. Metals, however, don't transmit at all. They absorb light instantly, which is why metals are pure reflection and carry color in their highlights. Scattering, light entering, bouncing around, and coming back out. Short travel gives you plastic or ceramic. Long travel gives you skin, wax, or milk. Absorption, light soaked up on the inside. What escapes is what we call color. Emission, the exception. Things that make their own light, like screens or fire. In the real world, atoms handle all these behaviors automatically. In 3D, we describe each behavior explicitly, one property at a time. Feeding real-world physics into a computer is called PBR, physically based rendering. In Blender's shader editor, every material is a chain of nodes feeding into the material output. Its 3 main inputs are surface, volume, and displacement. Surface wants a shader, the equation that simulates a behavior, BRDF for reflection, BTDF for transmission, BSSRDF for subsurface, and BSDF, which combines them all. The shader you'll use for almost everything is the Principled BSDF. It bundles every behavior into one node. Here are your core controls. Base color, the color of the surface, metallic, 0 for non-metals, 1 for metals. Roughness, how scattered reflections are, 0, a mirror, 1, fully matte. IOR, the refractive index driving reflection and transmission mass. Alpha, transparency for cutouts, not glass, 0 is invisible, 1 is opaque. Normal, fakes bumps by altering shading direction without adding geometry. Below those are collapsible sections. Diffuse, matte roughness for non-metals, leave at 0 unless you want a chalky look. Subsurface, how deep light scatters inside before coming back out. Weight is strength, method defaults to random walk, which works great. Radius is RGB travel distance. Organics go red deepest, green, then blue. Scale matches your scene. Anisotropy is scatter direction. Specular fine-tunes reflection highlights. Keep the algorithm on multi-scatter GGX, it works perfect. IOR level multiplies the highlight. Tint colors non-metal highlights or grazing angle metal reflections. Anisotropy and rotation handle directional grain. Tangent aligns it. Transmission, light pass through, 1 for glass, 0 for opaque, irrelevant for metals. Coat, clear glossy top layer with its own properties. Sheen, fuzzy backscatter for velvet or peach skin. Emission, surface generates its own light. Thin film, rainbow interference for soap bubbles. And that's the whole node. These sliders give you uniform materials. Textures break them up using either photos or mathematically generated. Grayscale texture maps drive single values like roughness. Color maps drive inputs like base color. A color map is just 3 grayscale maps stacked into red, green, and blue channels. This RGB packing is the trick behind normal maps, which encode the exact X, Y, and Z surface tilts to fake bumps. Because Z points outward, it carries the most data, hence the bluish look. To summarize surface maps, bump maps are cheap grayscale fakes with only height or Z information. Normal maps are accurate RGB fakes. Displacement actually moves the geometry up and down. Vector displacement moves the geometry in any XYZ direction. Set your material to a displacement option to use the last 2. For images to look right, your mesh needs a UV map, a flat 2D unwrap of the surface. If texture is stretch, apply object scale and check the UV. Wrap it all with texture coordinate and mapping nodes to control the placement, and color ramp, math, and mix RGB nodes to shape the output before it drives the slider. This whole bundle is what Blender calls a material. A lot of the 3D models used in this video were generated with today's sponsor, Hi3D. Feed it an image and you get clean geometry. UV is already unwrapped and PBR materials wired into a Principled BSDF. Export straight into Blender, Unreal, or Unity. The quality is phenomenal because it generates at an industry-leading 1536 cubed resolution, understands realistic material physics, and uses structure-aware texturing to fill in blind spots the source image couldn't see. It handles more than single image generation too. Multi-view takes the front, back, and side references for higher fidelity. Portrait mode has specialized facial and hair reconstruction for character work, and texture mode applies AI-generated textures to models you've already built in Blender. The advanced panel gives you full control over face counts, UV, and bake lighting. Standard generation takes about 3 minutes, and the new fast mode can do it in around 60 seconds. Use it for what you don't want to build from scratch. If you're building scenes with a lot of unique assets, it's generally worth trying. The first 200 people to sign up with the link below get an extra 500 credits on top of the free 100, plus 50% 10% off for new users. So try out High 3D right now. Let's put it all together in this scene. First, the ultimate quality of life tip, enable the Node Wrangler add-on. At a Principled BSDF, hit Ctrl-Shift-T, select your downloaded maps from sites like Polyhaven or Ambient CG, and Blender auto-wires the entire PBR setup instantly. We use that auto setup for the wooden table and other main surfaces. For the cauldrons, ornate bottles, and treasure chests, it's the same PBR workflow with mixed material packs. The metallic map drives metallic to 1 on the metal parts and 0 on rust, dirt, or wood. For the potion bottles, skip textures, transmission to 1, roughness closer to 0, and IOR around 1.5. These are the rest of the settings specific to this material. For the wax candles and the liquids inside some of the bottles, push the subsurface weight up, warm the color, and tune the RGB radius around 0.8, 0.4, and 0.1 for wax. For the Persian rug, cork stoppers, and fabric on the chest, turn up sheen with a soft tint. For the wooden table, push coat with high roughness to simulate a layer of dust. For the candle flames, we just use planes which do 2 jobs at once. Emission makes the flame glow, and an alpha map cuts the flame shape from the rectangular plane. The same emission setup powers the glowing orbs in the bottle and the potion inside the cauldron. For the cauldron smoke and the atmospheric haze, drop a Principled volume shader into the volume input and tune the density. For the stone walls, plug a displacement map into the displacement input and set the material surface settings to displacement only or displacement and bump. Skip the thickness output on the main node unless you're faking refractions in EV. That was the whole scene. Every surface in front of you is built from those exact same foundational behaviors. And that's it. You now have the exact blueprint to build any physical surface in Blender. But there's just one problem. Materials only exist to react to light. If your scene is lit poorly, none of this really matters. Your perfectly tuned subsurface scattering and roughness maps will just look flat and lifeless. To learn how to effectively light your scenes, click here to master lighting in Blender under 6 minutes.